Hi everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm Mandy Kay.
And I'm Matthew Bose.
This is episode number 13 of Pop Culturally Deprived, and today we're going to be talking about Ghostbusters on your
I ain't afraid of no ghosts
podcast. Today we're joined by Brandon Saiz, who has been waiting for this day for weeks. Brandon is about to launch a Friends podcast called Moo Point, which we're all looking forward to hearing.
Hi, Mandy. Hi, Matthew. I have been waiting for this for weeks. I've been a fan of the show since the Die Hard episode, and Ghostbusters seemed like the perfect opportunity for me to join you guys.
I do have one question for you.
Yes.
How many times have you actually watched Ghostbusters since we decided to record this episode?
Actually, a lot less than I thought I would. I watched it immediately out of the box, and I made it all the way to, I guess, after Fame for Ghostbusters, where they meet in front of the fountains and the violinist is there. And for whatever reason, probably like my kids wanting to play Rocket League, I stopped watching. And then I didn't pick it up again until the day before yesterday. Watched it all the way through once, and then watched a bit with the commentary turned on last night. I really thought that I was going to watch it more, especially because I really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought that I would, being that I've probably seen it a million times. So,
yeah. I had no idea you were such a big fan. I mean, it's not like you haven't been talking about Ghostbusters a lot for the last couple of weeks. So,
I also think about it a lot. When you called your show Pop Culturally Deprived, this is my culture. It's been a part of me for what seems like a lifetime. So, I'm happy to be here.
We are so glad to have you. Now, one of the first things we always talk about on this show is why I have not watched the particular movie or TV show that we're talking about. So I was actually shocked to find out this movie came out before I was even born, which I don't know if that makes me feel young or old. I'm not sure, but I do actually remember watching the cartoon of Ghostbusters, which is why I expected Slimer to be such a major character in the movie, and I was really disappointed when he wasn't. But I really thought I had seen this movie when I was a kid. We talked about this, Matthew and I did, way back in episode number 5 when we talked about Ferris Bueller. I really thought I had seen Ghostbusters, but when I sat down to watch it for this, nothing was familiar, and everything I thought I knew, I think, really came from the cartoon.
Yeah, it's inconceivable to me that someone hasn't seen Ghostbusters. This is just such a, like you say, Brandon, it's a major part of pop culture, particularly for our generation. And then for the franchise that it became with the sequel, with the cartoons and toys and things. From about age 7, it was my jam. I was Ghostbusters all the way. Gave up He-Man, gave up Thundercats. Ghostbusters was the thing.
I forgot about Thundercats.
In prepping for the show, I kept thinking like, oh yeah, there's this story I could tell, this thing, the selfie I've got with a life-size Marshmallow Man, or going to the Troxy for a secret cinema event where they turned the gig venue into the Sedgwick Hotel, and they had actors playing out the parts and all this. A great story, which I probably shouldn't tell, but at a school disco, getting to dance with Joe Salisbury to the Ghostbusters theme, and I was so overwhelmed I forgot to dance. Because I'm socially adept.
That's amazing.
I mentioned to my mum that I was doing this episode on Ghostbusters, and she sent me a care package. I'm just sending over a picture, which I will absolutely tweet out and share this, or it'll be on the show notes. Brandon and Mandy, you should be getting a picture or two.
Nice.
Oh, it's baby Matthew.
Mandy, so we don't just leave dead air, do you want to describe what you're seeing?
Matthew has sent several pictures over of him very young. Well, one's a birthday cake from when you were 9, which is a Ghostbusters birthday cake, which is amazing. And then, hang on, I'm trying to click on this. Oh, are those pajamas?
They are pajamas.
Oh, I see pajamas that say the real Ghostbusters and a book of some sort. And Matthew is very excited in this photograph.
I think I'm being a ghost or a monster is what I'm being. That's the 1989 Real Ghostbusters annual.
Nice.
Very nice.
And apparently there's also a replica of the firehouse with the pole and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The firehouse is pretty great.
So yeah, I was quite into this. This was absolutely my thing, and that there are more pictures I'm not going to share anymore. But mostly it's birthday cakes throughout the years that have the Ghostbusters logo on, or toys that I got and things.
Very nice. My older brother, he's 2 years older than me, and when we were kids, we would run around. We had these toys called Constructs, I believe, and it was just basically for building things, kind of like Legos, except they were hollow inside, so they were really lightweight. We used to build, of course, guns out of them. And at some point, like, we started off running around like we were John McClane from Die Hard, and at some point we transitioned to being Ghostbusters, probably because we picked up some more friends from the neighborhood and we needed, a role that had more people in it. But we also had a record player. It was like a Fisher-Price made record player, all made out of plastic and everything. It wasn't very good quality, but we had all these records like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, like the story records, and we had Star Wars Extended Universe stuff, and we had the Ghostbusters soundtrack, and it was my favorite record, and I would play it nonstop all the time, and my brother would always get mad because he'd want to listen to Star Wars or Indiana Jones or whatever. And at one point, my parents were both working at the time, and we had like a high schooler over that was paid to clean the house while my mom was at work and just kind of keep an eye on us. And we were in our rooms and got in a fight about the record, and he picked it up off the player and flung it across the room like Frisbee style. And it shattered into a million pieces. And like the only thing that was missing was like the ectoplasma coming off the wall. And like I screamed and attacked him, which I was the gentlest kid I knew, and I like tackled him, which didn't last very long. He flipped me over, pinned me down, and this poor little like 18-year-old had to come in and be like, "Oh, please stop fighting. I'm not really watching you guys. I'm just cleaning your house. You're old enough not to kill each other." But I remember that like it was yesterday, and this, I mean, it was 25, 30 years ago. I don't know. It was a long time ago, and we moved up here to Alaska, and my wife found the Ghostbusters soundtrack in a secondhand store in a town of 8,500 people, bought it for me, brought it home, and now my youngest daughter listens to it all the time. It's the only record she listens to. It's pretty cool.
Oh, brilliant.
You must be so proud.
I am. She also likes hockey, so we're winning.
Terrific. So this is a seminal work, certainly for you and me. How someone's not seen it? Who can? Oh, terrible.
Well, if I had seen it, you guys would not be on a podcast right now, so suck it.
Bit of history on the film. Ghostbusters was released in June of 1982. It was directed by Ivan Reitman, written by Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd, who also starred in it alongside Bill Murray, Sigourney Weaver, Ernie Hudson, and Rick Moranis. The film had a budget of $30 million and made just under $300 million at the box office. It was the second highest performing film of the year, just $5 million behind Beverly Hills Cop. Now, 1982, when you look at the films that were released, this is a quality year for again, seminal 80s works. Gremlins, Karate Kid, Star Trek III, Indiana Jones 2, Police Academy. These are some staple movies of the period, and this is the one year they all came out.
Do we want to, take a poll on which one of those I've seen or not seen?
Well, first of all, some qualifiers. Does anyone in the universe call it Indiana Jones 2?
I couldn't remember. That's Temple of Doom, isn't it?
It is Temple of Doom.
Yeah, okay. Well, I know you've seen bits of that.
I have seen bits of it.
I'm pretty sure that's the one we had on record. I think it was Temple of Doom.
I think you've seen Police Academy, because that's the worst in there.
I've not seen Police Academy.
We're not putting it on the list.
It's got to be the Karate Kid.
I have seen the Karate Kid. I've not seen Star Trek III. I am familiar with Gremlins, but I feel like it's a passing familiarity like I had with Ghostbusters. Like, I feel like I probably saw it and just don't remember it, which means I probably never saw it.
Also had that record.
Yeah, see, I haven't seen anything, you guys, so...
Which probably means you've not seen Gremlins 2.
No, definitely not.
Ah, now that's worth putting on the list. That's a good film.
But I can't watch Gremlins 2 if I don't watch Gremlins.
Exactly. We can do one marathon watch and podcast about them. Excellent.
All right.
Ghostbusters spawned a sequel in 1989 and a reboot in 2016. There was also, as mentioned, a comic, a cartoon, a book series, all of the real Ghostbusters, and an expansive toy line. I Just remembered, I was also very pleased because when I was in the States once at that age, I got a Lewis Tully figure, and they did not sell them over here. I'm the only one of my friends who had it. I was very pleased with myself. Ghostbusters was originally developed by Dan Aykroyd as a vehicle for himself and his Saturday Night Live Blues Brothers co-star John Belushi. The original time and space travelling ideas were dramatically reduced, and the magic that they used to combat ghosts was then changed to technology. After Belushi passed away, more elements were rewritten as the cast was changed. There were a lot of people considered, auditioned, or even cast in some of the other roles. Eddie Murphy was originally going to be Winston, but he went on and did Beverly Hills Cop, which was clearly quite successful that year. John Candy was cast as Lewis Tully, but he quit. Apparently he had lots of ideas, but they kept being rejected, such as him being German and having dogs and all of this.
Too many dogs is what they said in the commentary.
Yeah.
They already have enough.
Chevy Chase and Michael Keaton were considered for Venkman. Christopher Walken, John Lithgow, and Christopher Lloyd, and Jeff Goldblum were all considered for Egon, and I can see all of them doing that role.
Absolutely.
But Harold Ramis knocks it out of the park, so I'm very pleased he did that. And apparently Paul Rubens and Grace Jones were both considered for Gozer at the end.
I can see Paul Rubens doing that, but I don't think I actually know who Grace Jones is.
I want to say model and actress. Yes, tall model actress. She's in, I think, a James Bond film.
So, yeah, so I would have no frame
that.
of reference there. So,
but yeah, Grace Jones, Paul Rubens, quite a difference between the two for that part. We also, in this film, have the return of two of our friends from Die Hard, Reginald Vell Johnson as a cop, and William Atherton as the arrogant antagonist schmuck. So they're basically playing the same roles.
Right. I read this in the notes before we started this today, and I had no idea that was the same guy until I read that, and I did an IMDb search real quick, and I was blown away because equal amounts of hates in each movie. I can't stand that guy. And in the commentary, they talk about him coming up to both the director and the writer and just pretty much hating them for ruining his life for part of the time there, because little kids would come up and hate on him, and then of course like school buses full of teenagers would drive by and shout out the window "Dickless."
So does Reginald Vell Johnson ever play a character who's not a cop?
No.
Okay. I just wanted to be clear on that.
Basically. He does. I mean, but he's a cop in that TV show, Family Matters.
Family Matters, yeah.
He's a cop in that, and that is his big role. So, a couple of interesting facts that we found out: the party scene with Moranis and his guests is almost entirely improvised by Moranis, and he absolutely sells it. You can see that that's his background. Mm-hmm. The demonic voice of Gozer and Zool is actually the director's voice, and the crowd scene at the end has adult film actor Ron Jeremy included in it.
I did not pick up on that, and after I read this, I went and looked for it and saw a screenshot, and I don't think I would have recognized him if somebody hadn't pointed it out.
He's probably in a lot of films. I'm not going to look him up on IMDb, but I do know he's in one with, I think, Amber Benson.
Really?
If we want to throw out our Buffy reference.
Well, you're not allowed to throw out the Buffy reference. That's me.
Ghostbusters was nominated for 2 Academy Awards, Best Original Song and Best Visual Effects. The film's theme song was written and performed by Ray Parker Jr.
This completely blows my mind. I'm sorry, it just does.
The Academy Awards.
Academy Awards. Yes, Ghostbusters was nominated for 2 Academy Awards. Like, I don't get it, but okay.
Well, the ones that they were nominated for are pretty fitting, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, given the age of the movie, anyway.
Yeah, I can't see this getting best writing or even any of the best performances.
No.
Again, not in a year that had the Karate Kid and Police Academy in it. Let's be clear on that.
Right.
Okay.
There is a story that Ray Parker Jr. came up with the style and hook, the catchphrase, who you going to call, and I ain't afraid of no ghost, after struggling for 2 days, and he finally saw a drain cleaning company advert at 4:30 in the morning. The song was, of course, a huge hit. It stayed at number 1 for 3 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Huey Lewis was offered the chance to make the theme tune, but turned it down due to the work for Back to the Future. However, he subsequently sued Ray Parker Jr. for plagiarizing another of his songs, I Want a New Drug. They settled out of court with a non-disclosure agreement. But in 2001, Huey Lewis talked about the non-disclosure agreement and what happened on an episode of Behind the Music. So Ray Parker Jr. then sued him back and demanded all his attorney fees.
It sounds fair to me.
Yeah.
So, Ghostbusters. It's a movie. And before I tell you the brief synopsis that I wrote, I'd like to tell you what I wrote on Facebook about this movie right after I finished watching it. My only reaction, 3 words long, that was special.
Hang on. There's a number of different ways you can say the word special. How do you mean that?
It was special. That's all I can say. It was very special. So Ghostbusters is a movie about a group of washed-up academics who commercialize their skills in banishing the paranormal after getting fired from the university. Fair synopsis there?
It feels like the first half hour.
Well, I mean, I was going to add some lines there about how they saved the city, but I was having trouble with that because they wouldn't have had to save the city if Ray hadn't been so stupid. And then my synopsis was just getting too long. So, yeah, they're Ghostbusters. That's what they do.
I mean, it's a comedy, so I don't really necessarily want to get into semantics, but I think that no matter what, they save the city. Like, Ray brought the most gentle monster at the end, but they're going to have to save the city from something because those dogs were definitely coming alive.
Fair point. Okay.
I mean, that building is, it's like this centerpiece for Supernatural.
Spook Central.
Yeah. And bad things were happening no matter what. So I think they did a pretty good job.
Okay. Well, before we get into more discussion of the movie, let's tell everybody how we all watched the film so folks know where they can find it. Unfortunately, as of today, which is, of course, March 2017, it's not actually available on any of the subscription streaming services, so I actually rented it from Amazon.
It is available in the UK on Sky Cinema, so I downloaded it and watched it at my leisure.
You're right. I forget to clarify that when I say things, I'm talking about the United States.
We are an international podcast. We've had double-digit downloads in China, so...
So I didn't have the original VHS that my parents had, which was probably ripped off a HBO free preview, if I know my parents. So I actually purchased it, double feature with Ghostbusters 2, which I haven't gotten around to watching, but I'm excited about showing the kids. That one's special.
More child-friendly, at least.
But I was pretty happy because it came with like a little storybook in it with some of the history that Matthew covered, and then
nice.
And then of course the commentaries on there, which I'm a big fan of commentary.
I always want to be a fan of commentary, but I rarely watch it because it just distracts me. Like, I would rather have a book that has the commentary rather than having the commentary being played over top of what you're watching, because then it just gets distracting for me.
Right. I think it's definitely only for a movie that I adore and have seen probably 30 times. And this particular commentary, I started my PlayStation, put my headphones on. My wife was watching Game of Thrones on one of her other devices in the room with volume, and I was in the kitchen listening to the commentary, not watching the movie, while I was doing dishes and cooking and stuff. And it's definitely not something you want to watch if you want to pay attention to the movie. It's just for giggles, I think. It's pretty cool. Like the firehouse that they're in, I didn't realize this from browsing the internet ever, but the inside of that is in Los Angeles. It's an actual old firehouse that they used to use, and they filmed all of the inside scenes of the firehouse in there. And then the outside of it is in New York City, and it's an operating firehouse. And both of them were built in the same year, which was like 1912 or something like that. It's pretty great.
Yeah, I can remember my uncle visiting New York, again, when I was a boy, and telling me on the phone, I saw the Ghostbusters firehouse today.
Yes.
And I had no response to that. Just, wait, how does this work? Why are we not there? Why? When can I? How do I? Who? When? Yeah, blew my tiny child mind. So, Mandy got the pleasure of watching this special film for the first time. But going into the watch, what were your expectations for Ghostbusters?
I'm trying to temper my expectations when I go into these movies because I feel like if I have great expectations, then it's going to fall flat. And I'm trying to avoid that. So when I went into this one, I thought I would enjoy it. I didn't really think about it in terms of loving it or hating it. I just thought, it's probably going to be good for some laughs. Though I do admit I was really worried about it being really campy.
That's probably fair. It is called Ghostbusters.
And it's from the 80s, so.
Mm-hmm. What's your experience of movies directed by Ivan Reitman? Things like Twins, Kindergarten Cop, Dave, Jr., Evolution.
It's not a tumor. That's all I got. Sorry.
It's not a tumor. How has that become the quote from that film? It's so random.
But it is. That is totally the quote from the film. And for anybody who hasn't seen it, we're talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger in Kindergarten Cop. And that throwaway line is totally the catchphrase of that movie.
It really is.
It's not a tumor. It's not a tumor at all.
Yeah. I haven't seen any of those other movies you listed there.
Okay. Maybe a couple for the list. And what's your experience of Bill Murray movies?
I was so surprised when I looked up his filmography and realized I've really not seen hardly anything that he's ever done. I've seen Zombieland, Charlie's Angels, and Kingpin. I have seen Wild Things in Space Jam, which IMDb says he was in, but I have no memory of him in either of those. And so I think mostly this is just one of those things where I know who he is just because he's so freaking famous. I didn't realize I haven't seen anything that he's been in.
What about Bob?
Nope.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's such a strange list because you've named things where he's not the main star, main person.
Right, in Zombieland, he plays himself,
Yeah.
And so I think I just know him because he's famous. Like everybody else knows who he is, and I've just absorbed that.
So we've got classics, Caddyshack. What about Bob? Groundhog Day, Scrooged. These are films he led, but you've never seen them.
Not a one.
You haven't even seen Garfield.
No.
And that intake of breath from Brandon was no. Well, again, a couple more we might be adding to the list. Ghostbusters, did you enjoy it?
Okay, this is going to surprise everybody considering I called it special, but I actually did enjoy it. And I would watch it again.
So what do you mean when you say special?
I mean exactly what you think I mean. I mean, it's special. It's not really a good movie. It's campy and stupid, even though it's not intended to be, I don't think. I think it's intended to be just straight comedy. But it was enjoyable. It was funny and it was interesting. And I love Peter Venkman, which is really going to surprise some people because I hate really terrible human beings. And by all accounts, he's a really terrible human being, but I like him. So, yeah, I can't really explain it. I just did.
It's a great film to have seen as a child, I think, because it is not a good film when you really start thinking about it. The pacing's all off, the writing's a bit hit and miss at times. No one does anything except for Bill Murray. Everyone sort of hands the film over to him, and they just exposit for the rest of it. But it's a lot of fun.
It is.
And it's really hard to explain. It's very much regarded as a classic, even outside of really, really diehard fans like Brandon and I. This is a film that people talk about, reference, and enjoy from the 80s. So can you see why it's become a classic?
Not really. I mean, it is good. I enjoyed it. It was funny. But I was trying to think of a comparable movie from today that I thought would still hold up in like 30 years. And I really couldn't think of one. I mean, the comedies of today are movies like Grown Ups, which is a male-led comedy movie. It's got 4 leads. And I just can't imagine that movie still being talked about in 30 years. And so I don't know what it was about this movie that just made it so sustainable.
Yeah, I think this was maybe the first perfectly delivered movie I've ever seen. It was set out to do a certain thing, and I think that they accomplished that. The jokes, they're really well written, or not written at times. The characters play off each other really well. They work together well, and I think the moment that captures that for me is when Venkman is talking to Dana about, how they're going to attack this problem that she has and how he's going to go check her out. Check her apartment out. And Ray and Egon are sitting on the couch eating Cheez-Its, and as soon as he moves in on her, they kind of look at each other and give this eye roll, like, here he goes again. This guy can't get enough of this. And I think that that they just fit their characters so well, and they stick with it the entire movie, and plot falling apart around them, the fact that there isn't really a lot of movement except for Venkman. I think that the characters really carry this, and then the setting, being in New York City, and hearing the commentary talk about how they built up the movie before it started. Like, the first scene they ever shot was during that 80s montage where the three of them are running through downtown and in their full gear, and Bill Murray had just arrived from another shooting over in Paris or something, and they go right into the film shooting that. And so they stuck stickers everywhere of just the date and the Ghostbusters sign, and really built up the movie. And I think that it was just embraced. The marketing afterwards was incredible, of course. So I think it's just ingrained in us, and that's why it's a classic. It's not necessarily just a standalone classic from how it was made, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think you're referencing the interplay between the characters and the actors. There's obviously a lot of affection there, but they know how to play off each other. A lot of them have known each other for a while in the past, of course. So they really, you get this very real feeling that they know each other. The bit where Venkman, what is it? He turns to Egon and he says, "Oh, you've done really well. Have a chocolate bar," and hands him a crunch bar.
Egon, I'm going to take back some of the things I said about you. You've earned it.
And it's just, if anyone did that to me, I would lamp them.
Yeah, it's clear that Egon is snacking the entire movie too. It's very subtle, but he eats all the time.
Mm. But yeah, there's that real affection between them, and real nice interplay where they know what each other are about and what's going on. So it's 100% the characters for me. We've mentioned Peter Venkman a couple of times, Bill Murray's character. He has this sort of hero worship thing going on. But when I really watch it back, he is something of a jerk and possible terrible human being. So why do people like him so much?
Yeah, I think that they did a good job of establishing kind of him at his lowest point even before the movie started. It seemed like he was in a job that he hated, or maybe somewhat enjoyed, but it was just a crummy job of torturing students for money. But
hey, that's a valid lifestyle choice for some.
No, I'm not knocking it. I mean, it sounds glorious, but yeah, like the fact that he had a hate message on his door before we were even introduced to him, it gave him a lot of room to improve. And I think towards the end of the movie, maybe we've seen that he's developed a bit. He's come a ways, maybe. Oh, and that. The fact that he comes up with his business plan over a bottle of liquor is pretty great, too. I think that's how every business plan starts.
Well, I have a very simple answer for this question. Because he's awesome. That is all. But I feel like I can't leave it at that. Well, I was going back through my notes because I came out of this movie with an intense affection for Peter Venkman. But the very first thing that I wrote very early on in the movie about him is, I need to know these character names so I don't say things like Bill Murray is a dick. Because it was early enough, I didn't know who anybody's name was, and he's just being a jerk. And then, as I just kept going through the movie, and then, Sigourney Weaver's character shows up, and he just got so over the top. And it was just amazing. He's so confident and so full of himself, but also so very self-aware. But I just couldn't help but like him. He was charming and tenacious and incorrigible, and I like him and I hate him all at the same time.
That makes sense. I get it.
Yeah, he's just a jerk to everyone. He's awful.
He is, but he knows it.
He does it with confidence. But seriously.
He did apologize for the bug eye comment. Let's not forget that.
Don't stare at me. You got the bug eyes. Janine! Sorry about the bug eyes thing. I'll be in my office.
Yeah, because Annie Potts is properly scary.
Yes, absolutely. But when Dana said to him,
And I say, my God, there's someone with the same problem I have.
Yes, we both had the same problem. You.
Yes.
he didn't get mad. He got it. He understood where she was coming from, and he did not give up.
He's also like he's hilarious in this movie in every action he takes. Like the part where he's grabbing the ectoplasma off the and like he gets some on his face, and he's just like, all of his reactions are well, I mean, like, he clearly did that on accident. He got it on his face on accident, so the reaction was actually real. But like when Dana first walks in the office and he hears her talking, and he like prairie dogs up to see who's talking, and then comes flying over the rail to come talk to her. Like, everything he does is pretty glorious.
So another big part of this film is obviously, we've talked a bit about the music, but it got nominated for visual effects, and there are a lot of effects in this film. How do we think they hold up watching it now?
Maybe Brandon should go first on this one.
So I really love the sound effects, specifically the charging up of their packs. I think they sound great. I love the I don't know, the interaction of their really crappy visual effects with the physical effects that they did behind the scenes. So like there's this scene where Slimer disappears into the wall and the cart goes crashing into it. And there's great camera work on that. And then immediately ectoplasma starts seeping from the walls. I think stuff like that is great. It's old though. It's really old.
Yeah, they don't hold up for me at all. Gargoyles were awful. Slimer was pretty awful. The Stay Puft Man, when he exploded, was very clearly not marshmallow fluff. I mean, they used like something like 50,000 gallons of shaving cream, and it was very clearly shaving cream. And the special effects in Dana's refrigerator were awful. I mean, it was very 80s, and it was very bad, and it just doesn't hold up. And part of me gets that that's because it's so sci-fi-ish. But when you compare it to a movie like Die Hard, even though I mean, Die Hard came later, I get that, and a couple years of technology is a big deal. But Die Hard's visual effects hold up to today, and Ghostbusters absolutely does not.
Yeah, they talk on the commentary a lot about the difference between the first Ghostbusters and the second. There's 7 years, I believe you said, Matthew, between the two, and they said that the visual effects revolution happened within those 7 years. So, and it was supposed to be this subtle, slowly they start doing things better and better, but it just happened all of a sudden that everything looked better sometime in that 7 years. And then also I guess, like, you can tell when they do the puppet work with the gargoyles, you can see that it kind of looks sort of like a gargoyle come to life. And then as soon as they need to move it, it's horrendous. It's pretty bad. And it definitely shouldn't hold up.
Yeah, I love the effects because I love a good practical effects. I'm a bit over CG these days. But yeah, you can see a lot of the strings and the folds on things when you look at it now.
Yeah, one of the things that I found completely interesting, I always Google fun facts about whatever movie it is after we've watched it so I can get some of those fun little trivia things. And there was a shot of Slimer that they were trying to get of him whizzing around a chandelier, and the special effects just weren't working. And so they actually took a peanut and spray painted it green and filmed the peanut. And they got it to work. And I'm just like, well, okay. I mean, it's a practical effect, not really a special effect. But, I mean, Slimer's a peanut in at least one of the scenes.
I like it.
It's pretty great how intuitive they had to be back then to get shots that they did. Like the files coming out in the library, the little, I don't even know what you call those cards. I haven't been to a library in a while. But they had stagehands behind each one of those pushing them out. And then they had like copper tubing, and they would blow in the tubing to get the cards to shoot out. And that's how they did that effect. And I thought it worked well. I mean, it's a long time ago, and I think for it, the actual practical effects, Dana levitating, that type of stuff, they did really well, and I'm impressed with their ingenuity. I'm kind of glad we've come as far as we have.
Yeah, I actually did really like that card catalog scene, and I really hope that they were able to do that in one take, because cleaning up after it and then having to redo it would be awful.
Yes.
And I actually think one of my notes was I felt bad for anybody who worked in the library who had to clean that up, at least in the universe, because that would just be awful, having to resort all of those cards and put them back. I think I'd cry. So we do have some questions from our listeners that I don't think we've actually talked about. So let's go through a couple of those. Holly MVG on Twitter said, something I have wondered while rewatching as an adult. They smoke that much on purpose, right? Because they are wearing nuclear power and the disregard for safety is part of the joke? Or is it just that everyone in the 80s movies smoked constantly?
Absolutely. To both, actually. I think that for sure by the time Ghostbusters 2 comes out, I haven't watched it in a while, but I'm pretty sure none of them smoke in that movie.
Yeah, no.
But it does add the great effect. Like they have the scene where they're getting in the elevator and they're talking about their packs, and Bill Murray's line.
Why worry? Each of us is wearing an unlicensed nuclear accelerator on his back.
So I think that they are almost completely disregarding safety throughout. It's pretty great.
Yeah, I just assumed it's because that's what people did back then. They just smoked all the time. Everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a little bit jarring to see, just because you don't see that anymore at all.
Yeah, you don't see goodies doing it.
And I just, so I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I think my perspective was just that it is what everybody did back then. It was normal, regardless of whether or not they're wearing nuclear reactors on their backs.
For sure.
Yeah, I did see a comment that they were, they were trying to seem like, sort of good working class folk, but, these guys have PhDs and come from academia. So maybe they're trying to seem that way. But I think it is all for the comedy. You get the great scene of Ray with the cigarette hanging off his lip in the shot.
Yes.
It's just great to show the surprise. And then the same later, or not the same, but he leans out when he's working on the car, smoking.
Yeah.
It's terrific.
Kate Met wants to know, does Venkman get a pass because he doesn't take himself seriously?
Yeah, I honestly, I don't think he's happy at all at the beginning of the movie. And I think it gets a pass because as the movie moves on, he sort of finds himself. And I don't know, there's buy-in for me. Like, I'm rooting for him for sure by the end of the movie. And I had similar reaction watching it as an adult, Mandy, where I was keeping notes in my phone as I'm watching, and one of my first ones is, this guy is an asshole.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I loved him by the fountain scene. I was rooting for him. I couldn't wait for him to get the girl or save the city or whatever he wanted to do. I was on the Venkman train.
Yeah, I think he does. I think he does get a pass because he doesn't take himself seriously. I think that's part of his charm, is he's very self-aware and he just goes with it regardless of where it takes him. And I think it's great.
Yeah, I have nothing to add to the Venkman conversation.
Do you like Venkman? I don't recall you saying.
Yeah, I feel like I should like him, but I feel worse about him every time I rewatch this film. Again, more as an adult, when you return to it and think about it seriously, because he's just such a jerk to everyone. And I think he does take himself seriously, because even when she calls him out, he's still low. This is what I'm going to do. I know how I'm going to do it. He's working the problem. And you combine that with the way he flirts with the girl at the beginning, and the one person he does apologise to is Annie Potts, whose name I've now forgotten, the character's name. Janine.
Yep.
Well, that's because she's scary.
Yeah, it's because she's scary. Annie Potts is like a bit like Reginald Val Johnson. She's from a TV show over in the States, right?
Annie Potts, she was on Designing Women.
Okay. I
That's
thought there
the only
was
thing I can
something
think of.
she was in for a very long time. Cause...
She was in Designing Women for like 9 years. I mean, that's, for me, that's what I know her from.
Okay.
Was that post Ghostbusters? Is this her first major role?
Yes. Designing Women was on in late 80s, early 90s. And
Gotcha.
Ghostbusters was before I was born, so.
Awesome.
Ah. Yeah, I've never seen her in anything except for this and other Ghostbusters movies. And Toy Story, where she did a voice, but
I know from previous conversation with you, Matthew, that you had a very large crush on Annie Potts. So should I assume that Janine is your favorite character in the movie?
No, I did not have a crush on Annie Potts. What?
Maybe you were drunk when you said that.
Where are you getting this from? No,
Wait,
seriously, Mandy.
We had a whole conversation about it. Was that not you?
No.
A random listener right now is like, that was me, Mandy.
Annie, I love you. What?
Maybe it wasn't you. I swear it was you.
Mandy's now scrolling through chat logs.
I actually am.
Were we thinking about different people? We were really talking about David Duchovny, weren't we?
Yeah, okay. I take the question back. That wasn't you. I have no idea who I had the conversation with. If it wasn't you. But
now, I would say edit this out, but no, you leave this in.
I'm still going to leave it in because it's hilarious. God, who was I talking to?
However, this is a segue into, and I'm going to now keep talking so you can't edit it out. This is a really good segue into my favourite bit of the film, which is any time Sigourney Weaver is on screen, because absolutely she's a number one crush from my younger years. There's probably three women who are obviously older women than I, that I can remember growing up watching, just thinking they are gorgeous, they are funny, they are intelligent, and Sigourney Weaver is absolutely one of those. She'd done a lot of drama by this point, particularly Alien, and possibly even Aliens. This was the first time I think I can remember seeing her flexing the comedy muscles, and she's so deadpan and so straight, but it just lands so brilliantly. And you can see the evolution of her doing bigger comedies, things like Galaxy Quest, which is a great Star Trek spoof. So yeah,
That's so good.
Did you happen to read what she did for her audition for this movie?
no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, can we say this? Is this?
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, it's totally fine. I think it's hilarious, and I should have gone to YouTube to see if there's a video of it available. But she walked in and decided to perform one of the scenes where she has turned into one of the dogs. And she snarled and growled. Like, it was wordless. She didn't actually speak, and she got the part.
Oh, terrific! You can see it because she's a proper thesp type. You know, she's an actress.
She's so good in this movie, especially with her desperation, like her knowledge of what she saw and her desperation to give that to the other characters in the movie. Like, I saw this and I know that you guys aren't supposed to believe me, but you have to believe me. And any time that anyone is coming close to questioning that, she gets this desperate look on her face and she kills the part. I love it.
Yeah, she calls everyone out on everything, particularly when Venkman's hitting on her. But yeah, when the guys don't believe it, she's like, no, I actually saw this.
Well, of course I'm telling the truth. Who would make up a story like that?
Yeah.
And she does that line where she's like, "You don't act like a scientist. You're more like a game show host." It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I love her. She was fantastic. But can we talk about how incredibly creepy it was? It was the only genuinely creepy moment in the movie, I think, was when the hands came out of the chair.
Yeah.
Everything else seemed so fake and campy and intended to be a laugh. Even the librarian ghost at the beginning, she was scary, but it was still funny. But those hands were creepy. Like, I jumped because I didn't expect them.
Yes, they did a great job too on the kitchen door. They had like the hands moving inside the door as it's lighting up, and like she's not looking over there yet, but there's some serious shit going on in the corner. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, even now I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, Dana, look over there. But
Yeah.
she never looks, and then all of a sudden she's done.
Yeah. So Brandon, what's your favorite moment or line or scene from this movie?
Oh, there's so many to choose from. My favorite to impersonate is the piano part.
I hate this. I like to torture him.
I do this to my kids all the time. It drives them crazy. We have a piano in the house. I do that all the time. And it's great because those keys don't actually work on my piano because it's so old. So like it's not even making noise and I still do it.
Nice.
That's fantastic.
Yes. What about you? What's your favorite part?
I think my favorite line is at the very end, and it's actually a Venkman line, surprisingly enough. Right after Ray tells Gozer that he's not a god, and they all get kind of, blown across the rooftop. And he says, Ray, if someone asks if you're a god, say yes. Because that's exactly what I was thinking in my head. I was like, oh my God, why would you not say yes?
I think that's Egon that says that, right?
Was it Egon who said that?
Yeah, and it's great because I think that like he doesn't even smile in the entire movie, not once. And at that point, like that's the most emotion you get from him. And he's like, Ray, you idiot. Like, I love it. It is Egon. I'm 90% sure, 94.5% sure.
You are probably absolutely right. My memory is terrible. Oh, dear listener, how I wish I knew then what I know now. Point in fact, both Brandon and I were wrong on the day we recorded this. It was not Ray or Egon who said the line. It was Winston.
Ray, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes!
And now, back to your regularly scheduled program.
Well, you haven't seen it 30 times
right.
Yet, so give it some time.
I feel like this comes up in every episode that we do, is that there's something that I say that's just wrong because I remember it wrong. But then I have to remember I've only seen these things once or twice, and you guys have been watching them for decades.
Right. For example,
I get a pass.
When they go into the hotel and they almost torch the housekeeper, I didn't notice this until last night, but she's like, what the hell are you guys doing? And then they're like, apologize. Like all of them apologize 2 or 3 times. And they turn around to walk away. And as the camera is farther away now, you see that there's a little fire that had started because of them. And she's got a spray bottle and she's trying to put out the fire with a spray bottle. I'd never seen that before last night. It was pretty great.
Oh, I don't remember seeing that.
But Mandy, you're a fan of How I Met Your Mother, right?
Yes, but I've only seen it all the way through once.
Okay, because the line you've just quoted, that is not a big part. It's a significant mention in I think even the pilot episode where he goes on his date with Robin, and he's using that as a thing for his friends to say this is why we're perfect for each other because she quotes that line at him.
Ray, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
Okay.
Pop culture, it's all linked.
I remember that, but that's awesome.
Matthew, what's your favorite part?
I can't choose because Sigourney Weaver's in all of it. She's so good. I think a lot of the stuff in the jail cell is really well done because they don't call attention to any of it, but just Peter performing for everyone while Ray's trying to give him this vital information about what's going on, and it just doesn't matter. Like, we're gonna go and do a thing anyway. We'll just need to get there. But he's putting on this show. Everyone got this. Whoa.
I do love that all of them are like super annoyed that the other people in the cell are like closing in on them, and all of them have their own reaction to those people. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
But can you explain to me why they had blueprints for the building in their jail cell?
Because he had him up his trouser leg.
Yes. You'd be amazed what you can stuff in your coveralls.
You and your logic.
I can't help it. And I'm one of the most illogical people on the planet, so it must be bad if I'm the one questioning the logic.
Because Al's actually a nice copper and he let them keep it.
All right. Well, I think we've gone through most of our notes. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you guys want to talk about?
Every time I see the building in this movie, and actually, I should start this. Every time my youngest daughter sees the building of this movie, she sings the Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated song from Perry, what's it called? It's not Perry the Platypus. Perry the Platypus is in it. Phineas and Ferb. She sings that song because
nice.
It's just this gigantic, evil-looking building in the middle of town, and why do they have it there? I don't understand. Like, someone should have knocked that down years ago.
You can do a lot with matte paintings of buildings.
Yes, yes.
Having watched Ghostbusters 1, Mandy, do you want to watch Ghostbusters 2 or the reboot?
I think I want to watch both. I definitely want to watch the reboot for sure.
Cool.
Ghostbusters 2, I guess it'll depend on whether or not people tell me it's good, or if it was like, did it go the way of so many sequels where they try to make everything bigger and more over the top and more campy?
Yes.
Because
Absolutely.
I mean, Ghostbusters was campy, but I don't think it was meant to be. Like, it was supposed to be like an actual comedy and not this like parody, satire-y kind of thing. And
I
so
think...
if it ended up being like super campy in the second one, I'm not sure I would enjoy it.
I'm pretty sure that Ghostbusters 2 defines over the top.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite heavily pulling from the cartoon. Like we said earlier, they don't smoke anymore because they know they've got this much younger audience now, and kids were really into it. Like, they were surprised kids were so into the first Ghostbusters, which it's a fairly safe movie for children, so I can understand why parents took them to it as a family film.
Except for those arms, dude.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and the dream about the ghost.
Right. That I forgot that was in there. I just
Yeah.
like kind of I blacked
Which
that out.
I didn't get. I can remember actually not understanding why he was dreaming about ghosts, so I just moved on.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm innocent, okay?
Not enough sleep. Too much stress.
Yeah. I can give you one recommendation for Ghostbusters 2. It has Peter McNichol in it, and he's very, very good.
Who's Peter McNichol?
He's the germaphobe from Ally McBeal,
Yeah, that doesn't help me.
okay? He's in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's the older Asgardian.
Oh! Him.
Yeah.
I like
he's,
him. He's
He's
fun.
very good in Ghostbusters 2, so he's very fun.
Yes.
It's
Definitely the highlight.
doing basically a sort of Martin Short impression. It's that kind of character.
I can
and-
see him doing that.
And Ghostbusters the reboot is actually very, very good.
I laughed out loud more at Ghostbusters reboot than I did at this one. This one I thought had it was just really well written jokes. The reboot actually had me laughing out loud. It was very funny, I thought.
I really want to see it, and that reminds me, I had a conversation with my mother about it. She has not yet seen it, and she doesn't want to see it, and I told her I was going to shame her on the podcast about this. Because
You're so harsh.
her exact words were, but it's not supposed to be women, it's supposed to be the men. And I was like, Mama, you can't say things like that in 2017. And she said, no, that's not what I meant. I meant it's supposed to be those men.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And I was like, Mama, this is going on the podcast. And she just laughed at me. So,
Oh. But also, yeah.
yeah. But I really, really love Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Wiig. And I'm becoming a fan of Kate McKinnon since she started doing Hillary impressions on SNL. So I'm looking forward to seeing the reboot. I think it'll be great. I don't know enough about the reboot to know which actress corresponds to which character. And so trying to figure that out in my head is awesome. And I can't wait to see it.
Okay. I also put down if you wanted to see Evolution if you hadn't seen it. Evolution is another Ivan Reitman film. It's basically another Ghostbusters, but not. And it has David Duchovny in the main role, which is why I thought of him earlier. But he's effectively channeling Bill Murray. He's absolutely playing the role of Peter Venkman.
I've never even heard of it.
I'd love it. I think it's really funny, but I do have to warn you, it has Sean William Scott in it. Playing Sean William Scott.
I like Sean William Scott.
Okay, then you should see it. Whew, got away with that one. I think there are a lot of people who will just not see a film because of him.
Really?
Mm.
Okay. Unless I'm confusing him with somebody else, which I'm very...
No, not in a Casey Affleck kind of way. More in a... it's just a very tiresome character for some people. But if you like it, go for it. That's one I think we should put on the list. It's good fun.
Sean William Scott, he's Stifler, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, yes, I like him.
Yeah.
Not crazy. Okay.
We want to say thanks to everyone who sent comments following recent episodes. The Firefly recordings kicked off a lot of discussions, so there were a couple we particularly wanted to mention. Sarah, the other blue girl, and host of Famished and Feasting, she liked my comments about the how dare they put rude comments into Chinese. She has a particular word she would like me to use, and I will use it naturally during a discussion in future for her.
And Matthew is very good at doing that, by the way. A couple weeks ago, he promised he would use the word Fortnite in a discussion, and he actually said it very naturally twice during the episode, and I had to struggle very hard not to laugh because it was an inappropriate time for me to laugh. It was great.
I had to use it twice in case you decided to edit it out, just to confound me.
Oh.
I would never do that to you.
Oh. Vivian at VX and host of Burglar of the Week has enjoyed Mandy's comments during the Firefly series and wants a show about Buffy so that she can hear Mandy's thoughts more. I think if you keep listening to this, we will keep mentioning Buffy. Don't worry.
Absolutely. And Esmeralda at Gypsy Book Nerd added that Ascension was aired in the US on Sci-Fi and should be available on Netflix.
I will thoroughly recommend everyone to watch it. If you like Westworld, you'll probably enjoy Ascension as well. It's a really, really good mini-series.
I would like to say that I will give it a shot, but with everything on the list and everything else that I actually want to watch, having a hard time finding time for anything else.
And rewatching Buffy for the dozenth time.
We don't talk about that.
Never not watching Buffy.
Exactly. I mean, that's just a given. Well, if you want to get in touch and give us your comments on this or any other movie we've discussed, you can tweet at us on Twitter at EloquentGushing or use the show hashtag PCDeprived. Personally, I'm Mandy Kay.
And I'm at Matthew Vose.
You can find me at ShoeSize38, and I also host Moo Point, a Friends podcast, where my great friend Jazzy tries to convince me that I actually like the show Friends. It should be a difficult task for her, but probably enjoyable. Our first episode will be Thursdays in April 2017, and we're at Moo Podcast on Twitter and moopodcast.com.
I'm really, really excited about this podcast, Brandon.
So am I.
It's going to be amazing. I am so looking forward to, because I predict that over the course of the show, you are going to love it. And I cannot wait for that day to come.
You know, I have so many people that I respect that know good writing and they know good comedy and they say the same thing. It's going to be a struggle for me, to be honest. But I mean, I think that I'll bring a lot to the table for reasons why it's taken me so long to even watch 2 episodes in a row.
Wow. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it has some great moments. I'm a little jealous of someone who gets to see some of these for the first time because there's a couple of things in there that just, they slay me every time. I just can't move for laughing. So,
well, I was forced to watch the clip where we got our title from, and
okay.
Yeah, I'm in trouble.
Joey gets all of the best lines. I'm sitting here thinking, it hurts my Joey's apple.
Yeah.
Just, how you doing?
Here's a role reversal. I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
But you will, and then it will be great. So, you guys, in April, you guys need to subscribe to Moo Point. It's going to be awesome. You can also email Matthew and I at podcast@eloquentgushing.com, or you can comment on this post on eloquentgushing.com.
Please also remember to rate and review us on iTunes. It's the best way to help other people discover the show.
And we will be back next week with another episode of Pop Culturally Deprived, where we'll talk about Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Save me, you guys. Until next time, I'm Mandy Kay.
And I collect spores, molds, and fungus.